Thundersport GB, round 5 of 2017, and we're back at Mallory Park, albeit it's not a particularly nice welcome. It's slightly drizzly here this morning for the first HMT Racing Thundersport 500 race. Here we see Will leading number 29. Yesterday, a third and a sixth for Will. Graham Freer had a good day yesterday, a win and a second. He took the most points because this man here, championship leader Pete Bardell, 222, fell in one race and picked up 25 points in the other, which means he does ultimately extend his championship coming into today. Two more races coming up for you. Look out for Josh Leaning as well, number 121, second in the championship. Richard Molnar's been having a good time, and 162 there as well. Daniel Otter had a great day yesterday. Otter was fourth and third, so let's see how it all works out here today. Into turn one we go. Will Leaning, number 29, and Graham Freer, number 191, looked locked together. Further back here we have one of our Navy riders, Lee Howarth, just floating through the pack. Just on the inside of him there, number 34, is Adrian Teasdale, one of our senior riders, who is third in the championship at the moment. In fact, he's just going around the outside there of Richard Molnar. Nice move from him, just up ahead of them as well. Look out for number 17 there, Angus Goff. We're now on board with Lee Howarth again, up through the S's and into Shaw's hairpin, and no idea who's leading at the moment, but we have got just up the inside there. Good couple of moves there from Lee Howarth as they all float through the bus stop chicane. Now then, here we go. At the front we have the championship leader Pete Bardell leading the way as they drop down Devil's Elbow and on to the start-finish straight to complete the first lap. Sid, an uncharacteristic error from Pete Bardell yesterday meant that he didn't finish a race, but as it happens, it doesn't matter in terms of the championship.
Yeah, he got an automatic cushion there, didn't he? Unbelievable, you know, how fast these guys are actually running in this weather, really. When you look back at Adam Shelton's lap record, that was still, obviously we haven't been here since 2014, but these guys are looking really fast already. These Dunlop wets are phenomenally grippy.
Wonder if anyone's gambled on anything slightly drier. I don't think so, because it is quite greasy out there. But that lap record of Adam Shelton's was beaten yesterday by Graham Freer, a 58.2. That's almost a second quicker than Adam Shelton's old lap record, but as Sid says, we've not been here for a few years. At the front of this one, Will Leaning now. We went up the inside of Pete Bardell going into Ed Wieners, and Daniel Otter here is the man on the move, number 162. Perfect conditions for an Otter, you might think, as we now stretch up to turn one. Number 121 there, Josh Leaning, just in fourth place at the moment, and it's coming up on the time screens that Will Leaning, who leads this race, is being caught for a jump start. Maybe slightly creeping on the line there, Sid, but he's been done. 10 seconds.
Well, it happens, doesn't it? You know, it's just one of those things. Happens to a lot of people. But I'm sure he'll deal with that.
Lee Howarth,
calm manner.
Lee Howarth, we were just on board with there, making up another place. Oh dear, and there's a faller there. And that's an odd place to be going down as well. Not sure who that is at the moment. On the opening lap we lost Elliot Humphrey and the mud wrestler Mick Marshall. A bit of a wide exit there from Josh Leaning in fourth place. So Will Leaning, he might not know yet that he's got a 10-second penalty, and there's another bike down there, and that is Adrian Teasdale, who's gone down, number 34. And where the bike is, Sid, that looks like your classic catch the inside of Shaw's hairpin crash.
Yeah, it certainly does. But you mean like catch the shoulder?
Just something
on the wall.
Yeah, and occasionally it's ever so easy to deck out there as well.
Yeah,
the bike just comes round on you. Back to the front of this one then. Around Gerrards we go at Mallory Park. Here is Jody Chalk further back, up ahead of number 49, Steve Waring. Nice quick shout out to number 51, Adam Campion, who is the freshman leader, so effectively a rookie in this class. He's normally racing in the Thundersport 500 Cup races, but he's qualified for the main race, and he is inside the top 10 at the moment, going really well. Leading the seniors is, as it stands, Neil Attenborough, number 129. But at the front of this race then it is now Daniel Otter who has the advantage. Well, I don't think Daniel Otter's won a Thundersport 500 race outright before. Across the line he goes, up ahead of Will Leaning, who will have 10 seconds added to his time. Then it's Pete Bardell, 2-2-2. Further back there, 1-2-1 is Josh Leaning. Richard Molnar's coming through the pack nicely, further behind those.
Yeah, you see, the top 6 here are like within 0.8 or 0.6 of a second in these conditions of Adam Shelton's lap record. See, I mean, that is just outrageous, isn't it?
It's incredible, really, isn't it?
And we never thought anybody would beat Adam Shelton's. I mean, he used to slide it in backwards and all sorts. And now here are these guys, just a few years later, in the wet, on wets, just doing these phenomenal lap times. I mean, it's easy to say, like how, like Graham Freer knocked nearly a second off yesterday, if you say it quickly, but a second round here in 58-second laps. I mean, that is like an age, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. It really is. It's unbelievable. Although we should just point out that despite the fact that we've not been here for 3 years, these guys at the sharp end have had some practice time at Mallory Park in the last couple of years.
Yes.
I have seen them at various race meetings on social media.
Yeah,
so
they come and do Emerald, don't they, and stuff like that. Yeah, they do a few bits.
So there might be a few ringers out there.
Fair play.
Graham Freer is a man to look out for. I don't know what happened to him on the opening laps, whether he got caught up in an accident or something, but he fell back through the pack, but he's regrouped, if you like, and his lap times are starting to come better. But this is Daniel Otter who leads. This is Will Leaning second, and Pete Bardell third. Technically speaking, Pete Bardell at the moment is going to inherit second place no matter what because of that penalty for Will Leaning. So weekends like this where Pete Bardell might not quite be at his best, where you have to capitalise in the championship, and so far it's not happened. Further back there is number 142, John Bolsover, with John O'Toole just behind him. Maybe these conditions not quite suiting John O'Toole, who we usually see competing inside the top 6 on a regular basis. But what a ride this is from Daniel Otter, number 162, the rider from Lincoln.
Oh, Steve, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't wish to bore you about this lap time stuff, but Daniel Otter has just come within a couple of hundredths of Adam Shelton's dry lap record on wets. It's just phenomenal. I'm so made up with this.
Well, we're on board with Lee Howarth. He's just been overtaken by Graham Freer, who at the moment himself is lapping in the 1 minute 0.5, so he's flying through the pack. The circuit at the moment, Sid, it looks dry, but I think what you're highlighting is just how good these Dunlop wets are, because the circuit, you know, there might be a bit of grease on it, but at the moment with the sun baking down on it, it doesn't look wet anymore like it did at the start of the race.
No, and I will say, well, I had a walk around the track yesterday, and one thing I will say is they really have looked after the surface, Steve. I mean, you know, it's a great piece of tarmac, has to be said.
Here is the battle for second place then. Pete Bardell probably isn't aware that Will Leaning's got a penalty, but he's going to try and get past him anyhow. They're not catching Daniel Otter. Look at him, he's already home and dry into turn 1. Lapping consistently quicker than these guys. But of course, Daniel Otter doesn't really feature in terms of direct threat to Pete Bardell in the championship. He's not even inside the top 10 overall. So Pete Bardell won't mind finishing second here. There's a problem further back there for number 17, just struggling to find his feet there a bit, was Angus Goff into Gerard's corner. So it's Otter, Leaning, Bardell, Graham Freer and Richard Molnar are starting to catch Josh Leaning. Further back here, sorry, these are the leaders coming through. Some traffic, and they're not saying please and thank you, that's for sure.
Any line will do.
Barging their way through. So this is the last lap flag. Otter it is that leads then. There is Will Leaning and Pete Bardell. Now, how much of an advantage has Will Leaning got, let's say, over the guys further back? As Pete Bardell runs it round the outside. Lovely stuff there from Pete Bardell. This matters in the championship. This will extend Bardell's lead overall.
He likes a bit of wet or funny conditions, does Pete. He always used to go well in the wet. Because he had a bit of an off at event, didn't he, at Cadwell? Cadwell didn't seem to go that well for him.
Well, Will Leaning's now got the advantage once more, but again, I repeat that Will Leaning probably doesn't know he's got a 10-second penalty coming his way at the moment, so these guys are just going for it. In the meantime, out front, Daniel Otter, well, we've not seen him win a race before, but this has been convincing. A brilliant ride from Daniel Otter. Yesterday he finished 4th and 3rd in what looked like his best day at Thundersport GB. Well, he's eclipsed that already. Across the line, a fantastic victory there for Daniel Otter, and we might be seeing a bit more of him in the future. Across the line in 2nd place, Pete Bardell is just going to get it ahead of Will Leaning, but Leaning will get a 10-second penalty. Further back we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and that there was Graham Freer going across the line, who just manages to get it ahead of Will Leaning, courtesy of that penalty. So Graham Freer will be on the podium in 3rd, ahead of Will Leaning. Richard Molnar was 5th in the end, and Josh Leaning in 6th. There's your top 3 then. A very happy Daniel Otter, Pete Bardell and Graham Freer. Further back in the seniors there, you can see Neil Attenborough, Martin Campion and Rowdy Taylor. And in the freshmen's, we've got Adam Campion, Stuart Burgess and Ryan Meaden. We'll be back to see if the Otter can do it again in race 2 in just a few moments. Welcome back to Mallory. I'm pleased to say that the rain has gone away and it's a dry race that we're waiting for here. Pete Bardell lines up 3rd on the grid, championship leader. Will Leaning alongside him, number 29. You got that penalty earlier on. Here is Bardell looking focused ahead of the race. He's changed his persona somewhat, hasn't he, since becoming a championship contender. And there's Graham Freer. Graham Freer on pole position. Needs to be looked out for here in the dry conditions. He set his pole time in the dry, and 2nd row, look out for Richard Molnar, number 125, Daniel Otter, the race winner earlier on, and then Josh Leaning as well. Away we go then for race 2, up towards turn 1 we go, and Graham Freer's got the inside line. Richard Molnar from the 2nd row coming around the outside. Will Leaning also getting off to a decent start as they make their way around now onto the back straight. And that is Pete Bardell as well. Look at them all, side by side, all trying to gain an advantage. Up the inside, here comes Pete Bardell! Oh, there's contact there between Pete Bardell and Richard Molnar. Well. Quite a bit of contact there, and shaking the head, Richard Molnar. Pete Bardell then caught up in an accident. I might have to have a look at that one again later on. It is Graham Freer that leads then from Will Leaning. But the championship leader there and Richard Molnar coming together as they're on the brakes into Edwinas. Where has that left Bardell? We'll keep an eye on him in a moment. But for now it is Graham Freer that leads the Leaning brothers across the line. John O'Toole's up there inside the top 6 as well. Pete Bardell, there he is, number 222, just behind Daniel Otter, and going the long way round at Gerrard's. Interesting little accident going on there at Edwina, Sid.
Certainly was. Like you, I'll have to have another look at that, I think, but whatever. I'm sure Richard wouldn't be slowing coming forward if he thought there was anything untoward. But he's had quite a good weekend actually this weekend so far. He's been out in the stock twins on this CB500, so he's been getting plenty of track time here and chucking in some good results. It's a shame, that real shame for him, but anyway, it is what it is, and we still have our race on our hands. And I mean, these boys are flying, aren't they? Absolutely flying.
We said already that Graham Freer has the lap record from yesterday. He took that from Adam Shelton, and these guys are running a hot pace at the front. Onto the back straight we go. Graham Freer it is with the lead. Will Leaning They're just trying to find a way past, pushing that front end, and now on the brakes he'll do it. Up the inside he goes, Will Leaning looking for a bit of revenge after the jump start earlier. There's Pete Bardell, he's forced his way through on Josh Leaning. Leaning has a cheeky look over his shoulder, and he'll see the race 1 winner Daniel Otter there. So it's looking like, as we enter the second half of the season, maybe Pete Bardell is going to have a few more contenders to think about if he wants to get this championship sewn up. The good thing from his point of view, of course, is the fact that he has quite a decent buffer. On board here with Rowdy Taylor, one of our senior Cup riders, and there's an absolute nightmare going on here. Look at this, a car park and a little bit of a stall. Come on, get out of the way. There's Mark Leaning trying to find his way through. That's 142 John Bolsover, who sort of like just stood there giving them the thumbs up as they were trying to carry on. And Mark Leaning will be able to carry on, of course, because he isn't crashed or lost contact with his bike. But unfortunately, that is the end of the race for John Bolsover. Richard Molnar went out on the opening lap, as you may well remember. Now, Pete Bardell, since getting caught up in that, has now found his way back to the front again. They're backing it in left, right and centre. Will Leaning at the moment still holds on to that advantage. Just up the inside there, though, goes Graham Freer. Brilliant move there. A quick part of the circuit as well. The charge up towards Shaw's hairpin, the tightest corner on pretty much any racing calendar in the UK. And Rowdy Taylor there just being picked off a bit here and there. Just struggling a little. The senior cup rider. He's in and around that top 10. Onto the start-finish straight out of Devil's Elbow. Graham Freer, 191, leads just from Will Leaning and Pete Bardell, who pulls out of the slipstream of Will Leaning. Further back there, number 17 and number 27, Angus Goff and John O'Toole. These guys, Sid, the top 5, all running underneath the lap record that was previously set by Adam Shelton. A phenomenal stuff, and look at them nudging each other out of the way. Graham Freer up the inside there of Will Leaning, and now here comes Pete Bardell, but strong on the brakes as ever. Will Leaning goes through. Pete Bardell almost run out there of Ashfelt.
Amazing racing. I mean, like, at this level, I mean, unbelievable. This is budget racing at its best, isn't it?
Just further back there is Jodie Chalk, number 87. Just not quite clicking for Jodie at the moment. We saw her last year, of course, fighting for podiums, but something just gone amiss at the moment.
Well, I don't think that she's done anything different other than everything else. She was doing really well, and she certainly had an eye on the championship this year. And but everybody else has just stepped up, and so she's got to do that catch-up thing like she did last year. But I wouldn't mind betting you that come the end of the year again, she'll be at the sharp end. Just takes a little bit longer to, for her to catch up, it seems. But she's still doing exceptionally well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is going well. Mentioned Adam Campion in race 1. Number 51 is in 8th place at the moment behind John O'Toole. Okay, he's not featuring in your screens right now, but he is just showing you what experience can do at this level. He's ahead of Adrian Teasdale, so a freshman and a senior cup rider are having a proper ding-dong a little further behind these guys.
I should just mention about Jodie there. She is also recovering from an injury. I mean, she literally had a pin out of her finger about 3 or 4 days ago. And when looking at it, that looked really sore.
Well, that might explain a few things. And Jodie is in 9th in the championship, so
I know, yeah,
that's certainly really probably, had you pointed that out to me before, I probably would have realised that's why she was falling a bit further behind. But hey, just for those of you that don't know, myself and Sid rarely communicate these days.
Well, only with smoke signals.
Here is number 191, Graham Freer then, and he is smoking out front. He is just lapping a couple of tenths quicker than the rest of the field at the moment. There is Pete Bardell in second, ahead of Will and Josh Leaning, and then Daniel Otter again. It's amazing, isn't it, when a rider gets that win or that podium under their belt, such as Daniel Otter, it all just clicks together. He feels like he belongs now in that top 5 all the time.
It is a mindset. A lot of very wise racing of the racing fraternity have always said that 85% of this is in the rider's head. The nut behind the handlebars.
Onto the start-finish straight we go there, then the leading group. Further behind, this is Rowdy Taylor.
he's enjoying his racing now, isn't he? Loving it, having a great time as Roddy.
It's him there, number 71, with that sort of red and orange helmet. Just in and around sort of that battle for 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. They're all locked together at the moment. Rowdy Taylor could be on for a senior cup podium here. Brett Haley's in amongst them as well. But there is Freer. Look at this lot for second though. Will leaning. Oh, sitting up there was Daniel Otter. Pete Bardell was coming through. Josh leaning on the blue and yellow. Number 121 is there to pick up the pieces should it all go wrong. And sometimes in this class it has gone all wrong. On many, many occasions. Up towards Shaw's hairpin they go again. They're not catching Graham Freer. Will Leaning's going to have a good go, and they're wide there. Pete Bardell and Josh Leaning both wide into Shaw's hairpin.
In actual fact, we're talking about Roddy there, and I saw a picture of him last week with racing here at Mallory on a TZ with a certain young man, or he's an old man now, racing with him called Jamie Hitter that we know quite well. 1986, eh?
Wow, where does the time go? Where does the time go? Well, the time's gone pretty quickly in this race. Graham Freer in control, and it's looking like he's going to win this one. It's going to be 25 points. Graham Freer coming into this weekend was 4th overall in the championship. Has he closed in on the Leaning brothers overall? Pete Bardell there, number 222, regardless of the result here, will be the championship leader. It's going to have over a 100-point lead that will still be intact before we head to Rockingham. But into the final chicane we go. Checker flag is out. He's ridden this well as Graham Freer, tactically superb across the line. Checkered flag out, brilliant stuff. A win for Graham Freer, second for Will Leaning. Daniel Otter on the podium again. And finishing ahead there of Pete Bardell. It's not often Pete Bardell gets forced off the podium, but he has done there. Josh Leaning was 5th. Angus Goff with a great result there in 6th as well, ahead of John O'Toole and Adam Campion and Adrian Teasdale. Then here you go. So we look at the Senior Cup podium first. There's Adrian Teasdale, Brett Haley, Rowdy Taylor. The top 3 outright there is Graham Freer, Will Leaning and Daniel Otter. And in the freshman, Adam Campion, the winner again from Carl Finch and Craig Goodall. In the championship, Pete Bardell with a massive lead, 122 points going into Rockingham. Josh Leaning still second ahead of Will Leaning, but Graham Freer has closed the gap down in 4th overall. In the seniors, Alan Tanton still has a lead, but it's been cut significantly. John Bolsover 32 adrift with Teasdale 3rd, Taylor 4th and Haley in 5th place overall. And in the freshman, Adam Campion has a 169-point lead over Shrubsall, but it's a close battle for second place. 12 points between Shrubsall, Swift and Mead. That's it from us here at Mallory Park. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back at the Rock next time for round 6. We'll see you then.